Dear friends of Switzerland, I think if we heard this morning, tourism and Switzerland is well known in the GCC part of the world, and you are regular visitor. That's the reason I call you dear friends. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon. Thank you very much for the organizer to inviting Switzerland tourists at this event. Like introduced by Olivier, I have a few information that I would like to share with you this afternoon, and in particular, I will start with the importance of the tourism industry for Switzerland. I bring a few facts and figures, things that we need to understand. One of the important sectors for our country is tourism. We welcome every year about 20 million of visitors, and in our country we count the number of overnights spent by the tourists. We have 70 million of overnights spent in Switzerland, this in hotels and para-hotelry. We bring a turnover of about 30 million Swiss francs altogether. We heard about many sectors of our industry in Switzerland, and this morning, with reference to the chemical industry or to other watchmaking industry, tourism is the number 4 biggest sector of our export industry. And we are proud to have this because it's a very important contributor to the economy of Switzerland, and we are able to employ 245,000 persons in the Swiss tourism industry. We are known for different ways around the world. This is global. We have a political stability. We have a high level of science and research, a high level of protection of the environment, the natural beauty. We heard that a few times this morning as well. And I think 2 very important elements that are new coming in the image of Switzerland, but since long tradition belonging to it, is a qualified education system, either public or private, and as well the qualitative hospital and medical services. These are important for our tourism industry. The movement, about 15 millions of overnights were generated domestically, and then 19 millions through the foreign visitors. If we look at the evolution, the year 2000, we had Switzerland and Germany taking the greatest part of the cake, and we had followed by the US, some European country, and then very little. At the bottom we see maybe Russia, India, Brazil, China, and GCC. Very small percentage of the tourism was generated from this country. 12 years later, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is good for us to see, is that especially these new markets, these emerging economies, are contributing in a much more sustainable way and in a much more bigger way to our tourism industry. And we look at the result; they are all above the 1.5 to 2% of the result. But since a number of years, this is one of the coins of Switzerland, the 5 francs of Switzerland, in a different way, because we have a very strong francs. So strong francs has provided a certain slowdown, in particular to our European guests. Here you see on this chart how much we are losing from our core countries, core Swiss country, in particular the Northern Europe or the Western European country are the ones that are bringing the most crucial concern in our tourism industry. In particular, we see the strong francs behind. On the other side, we see that the US, after having lost a lot in the past, are growing again, little by little, and to a great and positive development with the Asian part of the world. This is a future. This is certainly due as well to the number of populations that is in those countries, but definitely there is great potential coming out of those countries. Of course, the GCC, if we look the increase that we had over the last few years is very, very important, about 15% as well, that is contributing to the growth. Then we have expectation more from Asia than from the European part. If I look at the attractiveness of the GCC market for Switzerland, I think it is important to see that we are now ranking GCC at the 12th position in our statistic. In terms of turnover is number 8. And in terms of daily expenditure, the GCC visitor is number 1 in Switzerland, with an average of 500 Swiss francs per day. We have a very positive development of those of the market in Switzerland. We see as well a beautiful growth for the future, and the potential is important. We see the population growing in the GCC. Of course, the generation is changing, but still we will have a lot of first-time visitors and young people coming to our country. Another interesting factor is that the visitor from the GCC has a length of stay of 3 days or more, which is completely above the average of any other country, in particular from the Asian part of the world. We have some challenges as well that we have to look at, is sometimes the perception about the high values that we have in this country, high price, but as well that we need to see that the visitors is not only concentrated in 10 destinations, but maybe spreading out around the country. Here again, maybe a few facts. The overnight volume from the GCC, more than 500,000 overnights in 2012. Like I mentioned, 500 Swiss francs of the expenditure per day, which give us a turnover of 270 million francs for Switzerland. We see positive for the future, 20 to 25% increase for the GCC in Switzerland, and we see as well that in the midterm we will remain pretty constant with a good increase of presence of visitors from the GCC. I mentioned the first-time visitors. We are above 60% of people coming here for the first time, and then the young people, 66%. Interesting factors is about the loyalty, the active recommendation. Usually, a person from GCC go back home, explain about the beautiful experience, and convince his fellow in the family or in the business to go to Switzerland. And this is a very good word-of-mouth promotion that we can count on. And most of the people that have visited Switzerland in the past can say that they have visited Switzerland 6 times or more. Here you see the evolution of the overnights. We go back to the year 2000. We had about 150,000 overnights visits in Switzerland, and now we are above the 500,000. Then an interesting increase. And spread throughout the year, we see as well the concentration in the summer months. This is normal. It's probably very hot in GCC country. We come here, it's a little bit cooler. The alpine climate invite people to stay a little bit away from the big heat of home. But at the same time, we see that there are some adjustments due to the Ramadan. We have to consider as well that very often the shift of the vacation takes consideration to the period of Ramadan. A couple of needs that we have identified through a study that we have done especially for the GCC market, that are 5 criteria that are always coming up. The nature, the mountains, the family friendliness, peace and quiet, and then being welcome. These are important criteria that are as well gear our marketing in the GCC attentively, because we want to make sure that these aspects are maintained in our communication and in the way we communicate to the future visitors. I have here the result of this study that mentioned both 60% of these people that have been counted have pronounced that the nature is a very important element, the mountains, peace and quiet, like I mentioned a while ago. These are the strengths, the nature, the climate, the friendliness, and the lovely, beautiful image of the country as well that we can propose in the GCC. The element that I mentioned initially is that about the image of Switzerland and that we use in our promotion as well in the GCC is a combination of business, education, medical services, or medical tourism together with leisure. This is a winning combination, and we will improve our activity and our promotion that way. Green on this chart, you see the sport activity, recreational activity, biking offers. These are all things that we use intensively in Europe to promote the country. But we realize that in the GCC, these are coming really at the second, third, fourth priority. There is more enthusiasm first for the beauty of the country, the nature, maybe the luxury, and this recreational activity are only used on site, but are not a reason for the visit to Switzerland. Now a word on our mission, in particular as well in the GCC. As a national tourist board, we are working in different parts of the world. We want to increase the demand for vacation and for activity in Switzerland. We are represented in 25 markets around the world, and we employ 230 persons in our organization. Maybe some of you are asked, how are we funded? The government gives us a share of 70% of our budget on a yearly basis, and then 30% is provided through the private sector. This is a network of Switzerland Tourism, Gulf country. We established our office in 1999. I was able to do it myself as I was in charge for the GCC at that time. And since then, we have been improving our presence in the country, and we have now an official, completely fully fledged independent office in Dubai with a team of 3 persons which are dedicated to the activity in the GCC. We follow a specific strategy, which after having selected the market we want to be on, we choose the clients, trying to target, in particular in the GCC, the families and some of the business people in particular. We choose the product, summer-oriented. We realize that winter becomes a little bit of interest, but not yet strong enough. But summer and cities are the ones that we are bringing to the attention of the GCC market. And we keep all the quality. The Q stands for quality. These are elements that we try to follow in our strategy. Some of you think, how do we distribute our information? And the world is changing. The electronic world is changing. And we are changing as well. From a paper world where we were always printing a lot of brochures, we are continuing to print some, but we are going to move into a new direction. The online becomes very important. The mobile application are important, and we are developing plenty of these mobile applications for tablet, smartphone. The social media are a new generation. We are talking to a completely new generation, and our efforts are in this area as well. And then, of course, we have call centers that are still available, and mostly for European guests than for the people on other parts of the world where the languages may be a barrier. Then we have to direct them to our tour operator or travel agents. At the end of the day, our strategy wants to have the visitor in the center. And we have here 4 elements that help us to succeed. One is a key account management, where we bring together business plan with tour operator or travel agent to make sure that they have the offer of Switzerland in their portfolio. On the other hand is a key media management, which are the relations that we cultivate with the media, try to bring to them attention our country. We invite them regularly to Switzerland to visit the destination, to enjoy what we have here and bring it to the attention of the future visitors. We attend a number of platforms. We attend a number of travel fairs and roadshow in order to have the discussions, the interaction with the local supplier. And finally, what I mentioned a few minutes, a couple of minutes ago, the e-marketing, the completely online activity, which is for us certainly a key of success for the future. And in matter of fact, we are developing, maybe you already visited, we are developing an Arabic website of myswitzerland.com, which is totally geared to the need of the customer in the GCC. And we are going to have a relaunch on the middle of November with completely new feature on this online information tools that we have available for the GCC. We'd like to stop here in order that we can have maybe later on a few questions and few further information. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will have further information in the panel.